your girl Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I'm here with my girl Cleveland Kate. What's up, Cleveland Kate? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Did you have a good weekend?
I did. It was kind of a busy weekend. Got a chance to get some basketball in, and women's NCAA. Got a chance to see men's NCAA. I'm gonna tell what happened when we get to that part. But it's a beautiful day in the city. What do you think about this warm weather right now?
I hope it lasts. I people who don't live here don't understand. I don't know if there are other cities that do weather the way we do, where it's like 30 degrees when you get up and it's like 60 by noon. Makes
Hmm.
me crazy and it plays havoc with my sinuses.
Oh, really?
I feel like I got a dinosaur sitting on my face.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's
Who's
not supposed to
stalking
be
you in the
warm.
studio?
Huh?
Who is that standing behind you in the studio?
That's your friend Chris.
Oh, I don't know if I met him.
Oh, she said
He's
she
just
don't.
somebody I used to know.
She said you just somebody she used to know. That's a song. Just somebody I used to know. He just got a big smile on his face.
I see. All right. So, what'd you do this weekend aside from basketball?
Nothing much.
I know you got a baseball, Jones. You got to be so excited that the season started.
I am very excited. I'm very excited. The Guardians got out to a great start in Seattle. So I'm very excited about that. So, we're going to see what happens. Right now they are going to be taking on the Oakland A's tonight. So you got some more late night starts, which is just terrible, 10-10 starts. But one of the good things is that the games move quicker because, you're shaving off almost half an hour to a game. So that's a great thing for baseball fans, I think. Um, I'm okay with it too at this point. That first game, there was so much anticipation, and I'm like, man, I don't want to have to, stay up all night for this. And the game passed pretty quickly and I was able to go to bed. So I think that the game was over about like 12 o'clock almost. So I was able to get to bed around the time that I wanted to. So I am happy with some of the changes that they made. I love baseball, so I don't really need a pitch clock, but I think that this is something that might increase fan support. Maybe the baseball games aren't so long because a lot of people are doing other stuff like texting and tweeting and all that other stuff during games, so this might be able to hold people's attention. So what do you think about the new rules in baseball?
I don't know if they're gonna make a difference in the long run. What I like is I actually liked opening the season on the West Coast because I got basketball to watch, and now I get to watch both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. Because opening night, I believe the Cavs played as well. I think, did the Cavs play that night? They might not have. They played Friday, and we opened the season on Thursday. So yeah, it definitely helps to be able to, watch stuff, and then have the games come on late, so you can pretty much finish your slate of weekly or nightly television, whatever you want to watch, and then that game comes on at 10:10 our time. So yeah, you said you don't think it'll help over in the long term with getting more fans.
I think it'll get a few, but ultimately this next generation, these 20-year-olds, teenagers, they just want more action in a sport. And baseball, there ain't a lot of action going on. You know what I mean? So even if they're quicker, I just don't know if they understand the game, if they love the game, if they get the game and the nuances of it and the things that you need to do. They took the shift away and some of those things, or that there's not a lot the things that used to make me think and engage in my brain and wonder what the general manager was doing and if what he was going to do with people. Now it's just about looking at the lineup and who's he going to put in, and if is he going to move people around, and when he's going to pull people out late in games, and pitching changes, those kind of things. I like to kind of analyze what's going to
Mhm.
happen. I don't know. I think it makes sense for a lot of reasons to try to get them shorter, right? We've talked about this a lot. There's no time limit on a baseball game. It could go for days.
Mhm.
So there's no time limit. So this helps with that. You can get started with the game and you don't have to worry about, oh God, what if this goes into extra innings and I got to give up, 5 hours of my day. It helps with that kind of thing. And so you will pick up some fans, but I don't know if ultimately there are enough people my age, them 40 and 50-year-olds who love the game that are teaching it to their kids, to teach them, right? I got my love of football from my dad. Didn't you get your love of baseball from your dad?
I did. That's correct.
I think now my girls love football and basketball because of me, their mom, right? So I think there are a lot more women that like sports, a lot more moms encouraging their children to really understand and love sports. I just don't know if baseball is translating into this generation of, like I said, 20-year-olds and teenagers and who all need to be on ADHD meds because they can't pay attention for more than 30 seconds. And you go to a game and I'm sitting in the stands looking around and half the crowd is under 30 and they're on their phones the whole time. I'm like, what? I don't know what you're doing. A baseball could hit you at any moment. You need to be paying attention. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't know if the game itself will last. In 50 years, if we'll still be playing. I don't know what audiences do. Even when you look at, my grandkids who play the EA sports games, they talk about the basketball. They talk about football. You talk about fantasy football. I know people that play fantasy basketball, that play fantasy golf. I only know a couple people who play fantasy baseball. I don't know anyone who plays baseball video games. There's just this marketing thing that gets people into the games. I don't know if baseball does it or has it. Maybe they could. We've talked about this before. Who's the face of our team, right? Football and basketball both do really good jobs at the NFL level, at the NBA level of marketing their teams, their sport, their players. Baseball, it feels old-fashioned even from a technology standpoint. They don't have the social media presence that the other ones do. They don't encourage, promotion of the players. You got maybe 5, those big top 5, Aaron Judge, those kind of people that everyone knows.
Name.
You know what I mean? That everyone knows, but they don't. We all knew Frankie Lindor in Cleveland, who, Jose Ramirez now, who are the names that my grandkids are going to know when they go to games? Who are they going to see in a commercial or on an advertisement or on social media or on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or wherever it is they're going to find these people? There just needs to be – baseball needs to get younger. And from that, I mean mentally, they need to embrace the next generations of fans with money, and they need to embrace technology. And there's a lot of things they could do, even from not just on the field, right? Not just let's talk about using technology to call balls and strikes, not even affecting the game, the in-stadium experience. There are things you could do. The MLB has an app. I can't find anywhere on there for me to do scoring. Do you remember back in the old days, did you ever go buy a program and it's all laid out and you marked the hitters down and what they did and made your little – I thought that
I'm terrible at scoring, so
I'm terrible too, but there's got to be a way to make it fun, right? There's got to be things you can do on an app during the game or outside of when you're not at the ballpark. If you're watching the game at home, things you can do on the app. Is there a way to set up like an instant replay, right? In basketball, they're experimenting with things that you can do a virtual 360 of a game while it's going on, and you can like pause it on an app and rewind and watch him make that dunk again, where you can control your own instant replay kind of a thing. With football, they do instant replay, 6 ways from Sunday. They show you every possible angle on a play. Baseball doesn't do that. But they need
some
to
things are
embrace
non-reviewable too.
Agreed. And it doesn't, and they don't have to, the people on the field don't have to review nothing. But to let a fan watching the game on an app be able to stop, rewind, and watch it again, or to see a different angle of a play, a close play at the plate or at home or something, they're afraid of that kind of thing, I think, because they don't really have a replay process like football does, and they don't want to open themselves up to the criticism of, well, that was a bad call. And now everybody thinks they're an expert, and every 8-year-old out there with a tablet is rewinding it and saying, oh, he was safe and you called him out or whatever. I get that. But I'm still saying, and this is not there are smarter people than me out there developing apps and games and all of that kind of interactive stuff. Major League Baseball needs to embrace that and get a hold of that and get younger from not just players on the field, but in the way they're thinking of things. Think about life and entertainment the way 20-year-olds do, the way 30-year-olds do. Because maybe your 40 to 50-year-olds are the ones with the money now. Maybe your 20-year-olds ain't got no money, but they will. And if you don't get them hooked into baseball now, you're not going to get them back in 10 to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
The rules of the game and the style of the game itself, I think, presents enough of a challenge that the way Major League Baseball presents itself and conceptualizes what its future is going to be and how to get fans to interact is really going to be the key in building enough of a solid fan base to take them into the next 20, 30 years.
Baseball is very resistant to change too. So
Yep.
think about how long it took them to change these rules and things of that nature. So, it took a long time. And, like you said, being able to review certain stuff isn't reviewable. We'll get into what happened with JP Crawford and James Karinchak in the game. We'll get into that probably in the next segment, but everything should be reviewable, because I don't know if they have that in football where things are not reviewable, or is everything reviewable?
There are some things that are not reviewable.
Okay.
And my frustration with football is that there has to be a call made and you review the call. So if they call it a touchdown, they review it. If they call it a penalty, they review it. If they don't call it a touchdown, if they say he's down at the 1 yard line, you can't review that unless you argue the spot of the ball, right? You say, I'm arguing where the ball was spotted. They'll get those through. But if there's defensive pass interference and the guy's getting mugged and a ref doesn't see it and they don't call it, you can't ask for a review to bring that back. So there's a lot more flexibility in what you can review. But with the NFL, every year at the owners' meetings, which just took place, teams get to propose new rules and rule changes. And they adopt some every year. Football is changing every year. They're some of the changes they put in for a year and then like, ooh, that didn't work out. They take it back out again. Like they're trying to be responsive quickly. It's that mindset. Baseball is so resistant to change. There are things about football that they are resistant to change about, but it's nowhere near the scope of the way baseball is. They're old. They're like your grandpa, who, if you tell him it's black, he'll say it's white. If you tell him it's blue, he'll say it's red. No matter what you say, he thinks what he thinks, and he ain't arguing with you about it. And it takes forever to convince him that you'll never convince him he's wrong, but it takes forever to convince your old grandpa or your old grandma that they should think about maybe doing something differently. And that's what baseball is. And they have got to get some youth in the upper management levels, and they have got to start being more flexible before they find that all of themselves out of jobs.
That's some truer words have never been spoken. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. We're going to come right back talking about some Cleveland Guardians. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
I'm Lila Parker. I look forward to growing with the Central residents. My name is Tila, and I'll be around the Central neighborhood. I look forward to seeing you outside.
I am Marvetta Rutherford. You may also know me as the Crazy Rock Lady. I'm looking forward to finding out what's important to you.
I'm Makita Worley, and I look forward to re-engaging with everyone from Central Community.
For the next 2 months, you can find us at community events and gathering spaces around Central in collaboration with our radio partner, WOVU 95.9 FM.
And we want to know what's important to you.
We want to understand what issues are important to Central residents so we can report on issues you care about.
Signal Cleveland is a community-centered newsroom, and our name is a nod to Garrett Morgan, the noted Cleveland inventor and businessman.
Among his many successful inventions was the 3-position traffic signal which influenced the traffic signal we use today. Oregon also started the newspaper that eventually became the Calling Post.
Now that's sure enough history, and it's our history.
As you Dan, Signal Cleveland is also a nod to Ohio's role in the Underground Railroad.
Cleveland, known as the Station of Hope on the Railroad, was the last stop before Canada. On the freedom quotes reportedly used to mark the way, the crossroads symbol meant Cleveland, and that's how folks knew they were on the right path.
Yes, indeed. Signal Cleveland is on the right path.
The path of getting to know you. The crossroads symbol inspired our Cleveland Signal news logo.
Look for our Crossroads logo at a community event near you.
I'm Lakita. Tell us what's important to you.
I'm Arvetta.
I'm Tila. I'm Lila Parker.
And I'm Najee Paul. Tell us what's important to you at 216-220-9398. That's 216-220-9398.
We are Signal Cleveland.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
Welcome back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. So I'm going to get to some comments that we have. And George says baseball is not a national sport like football and basketball. It's more regional, meaning your area focuses on their team. You have your Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Cubs as your players if baseball and double sticks with the others. I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like it's a national sport. Like they said, it's a national pastime. So,
I think it's a national sport, but I get what he's saying. When I talk about football and I talk about the divisions, right? You got 4 teams in each division, and the 2 conferences and stuff. In every division, there are cities that go crazy for every single team that's in that division. In baseball, it feels like it's more about markets. You have New York, you have Texas, you have LA, you have, I would call it the Midwest, the Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago kind of market. It feels like there are large sections of this country that don't have a team, don't care about a team. Like geographically, there's nothing going on. Part of that's baseball's fault, right? There's still only 30 teams. This is where my numbers geek shows up. They need to get to 32 so that you can have 2 conferences with 16 teams in each and then 4 divisions of 4 teams each and make it easy in the math and all of that stuff. You've got divisions with 5, 3-3, 5-5. It doesn't balance. But I think that's kind of what he's alluding to is it's really not evenly bracketed. If you look at, I did a map once of all the NFL teams and where I would move them to. And while there are large segments of land where there isn't a team within a 3-4 hour drive, there are still rabid football fans in that area. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. South Dakota, like they ain't got a football team near them, but they are Green Bay Packer fans. Like their weather and that just
right.
Even though there are these large geographic areas, it still draws support for that. People love college football. There's colleges everywhere. High school football, everywhere. When was the last time you went to a college baseball game or a high school baseball game? And part of that is the way baseball is structured. So the NFL and the NBA both use the NCAA as minor leagues. And those players go to college for a few years, and then they get eligible for the draft, and then they go play pros. So we're watching NCAA football and basketball to see, not only because we like the sport and we like the games and the rivalries and whatnot, but we're looking at the players that we're going to see play in the big leagues, in the NFL and the NBA later. Baseball, you can come right out of high school. There's like 6 different drafts. Mm-hmm. There's 3 or 4 different minor league systems, the cactus, the single A, double A, triple A. There's just too many players. Mm-hmm. Too many.
Nowhere to put them all.
They need to get rid of all of that. Go back to college mattering so that people all over the country can watch college baseball and then follow the players that are good enough to get to the MLB and watch them play. I don't understand some of the farm systems, they're not even farm systems. They're just minor league baseball systems, ways for guys to become professional. We have one here in Avon, the Lake Erie Crushers. Super fun, have a good time. None of those guys are ever going to play at a major league team. They make $1,000 a month to play for 4 months in the summer. They live with somebody like they're a foster family. And somebody has to have the hard words and say, you're not good enough to play professional baseball. Go get a job. Go home. Go do something else. There's too many layers. So if you like a player in high school, or you somehow end up watching college baseball and you like a player there, good luck following him for his career, because you won't be able to find him for all those years in the middle. You know what I mean? When they disappear into one of these minor league systems where you can't watch the games, it's too complicated. The farm system is too deep and too complicated. It should be more like the D League for basketball, right? Cavs have the Canton Charge. That's our D League team. The Browns have a practice squad. Simple. You got guys that you want to put on your roster, you put them on the practice squad. You want to have one minor league system, which is the farm system, so that when you draft a player for baseball, let them go to college, make them wait until they're older, just like we do in football. Make them wait until they're a little older, draft them and let them play in your farm system. If they need longer to develop, if some of these guys are spending 2, 3, 4, 6 years in the farm system before you bring them up to the big leagues, then make them stay in college. Let them stay in college for 4 years and pick them up later. I don't understand it. Maybe there's reasons for it, but I think that's part of the problem with fan adoption. It's hard jumping into loving a sport and a team when you don't have anything else. You know, I have my NFL on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays. I have my college on Saturday. I have my high school on Friday. Like, with baseball, I have to watch different teams all those different days. I know my team probably plays 4 or 5 times a week, depending on their schedule, but there's too many games in a season. I know you're going to hate me for saying that. There's too many games in a season.
I agree.
And there's not enough other baseball for us to watch. I don't know. And I would do the scheduling differently. I would play every April game on the West Coast where it's actually warm and there's less chance of them getting rained out. I would go mid-July to mid-August, play all those games on the East Coast. Don't nobody want to play baseball in Texas on August 3rd when it's 112 degrees in the shade. I would be much more weather sensitive. And I would also leave an entire week open between when the season ends and when the playoff series start, to get in any of the games that got weather delayed and canceled and you had to postpone, so that you've got time built into the schedule to do any makeup games. Because we've seen in the last few seasons where it mattered. Those games that somebody didn't play mattered as far as going to the playoffs. And now you got to do double up games. You got to do double headers. You got to try to squeeze this in. They don't leave enough cushion between the end of the regular season and the playoffs to let these teams get these made up. Because they do them in the middle of the year. Instead of having back-to-backs like you see in basketball, you'll have 4 days in a row and then 1 day off and then another 4-game series. And on that day off, they shove in a game that got rained out a month ago. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think how many rainouts we had last season?
Yeah. So I think, and George will tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you'd have a better chance of keeping Major League Baseball fans if you had a better college system and you didn't have 800 minor league systems, one minor league farm system and a stronger NCAA program.
Yeah, but they toil in the minors so long. Some people have at 10 years in the minors and stuff like that. So
and they don't make hardly any money, and then they still have to face the harsh reality. I know it's a harsh reality. The harsh reality that you are not ever going to get up to the big show.
Yeah.
So do you want to try to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life when you're 22 or when you're 32?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. There's
If you
a
keep them in
lot of
college,
farm
they at
systems.
least have a chance to get a degree in something so that if their Major League Baseball dreams do not come true, they can get a job doing something.
Mhm.
A lot of these kids get drafted right out of high school, get sent to a minor league team, bounce around the minor league systems for the Red Sox or the Indians or whoever, and then after 4 or 5 years get let go, and then they go bounce to one of these other semi-pro leagues, and then they end up doing that for years. It just doesn't feel it's too different from the other sports. And when you're trying to figure out how to have sustainability, how to make your sport profitable, how to bring in fans to keep this going for years to come, I think that's one of the things that, I don't know how the minor league system works from a money standpoint. Who pays the bills for those teams?
Probably owners.
Right? If the Indians, so we have what, a farm, we have a Akron,
Yeah, the Akron Rubber Ducks. You got the Lake
Lake County
County
Captains,
Captains.
isn't, I
Hmm.
think there's a third one. Are they
Is
owned
it the
by somebody
Crushers, like
else
you
and then they're
said?
just affiliated?
Yeah,
So
they're
when we
affiliated.
had, for hockey, when we had the Monsters, they were affiliated with a couple different made national NHL teams over the years. And the NHL team didn't own them. They were owned by someone else, but they signed a contract so they would feed them players. And then they could do players back. I don't know if baseball works like that. I've never thought about it or looked into it. But somebody's paying those bills. It
Hmm.
just seems like they can't be making money, or at least not a lot of money.
Yeah, not a lot of money at all. One of the things is that, they petition baseball for, a lot of the conditions in which, they live in, how much they get to eat, all those kinds of things, saying
Yeah.
that it's a terrible situation. They travel by bus and, rarely travel by plane and stuff like that. So it's a long, hard life. So,
Yeah.
people want to get to the majors as soon as possible because, that's the, life of luxury and stuff like that. So, I definitely agree that you can cut down a lot of this farm system and make college more competitive. But I don't know how many people are watching college baseball now. I will agree with George. Now that's probably a regional thing and stuff like that, where baseball is pretty huge in the South and stuff like that. With some of those Southern teams, but
But
there's
if you
different
got
things
rid
that
of
baseball
all
can
but
do.
one of the minor league systems, if you had one farm league for each MLB team and got rid of all this other stuff and told them they could not draft players until 3 years after their high school class graduated, like we do with football, you would have more talented players in college. People would want to go see the games. The people playing college baseball now are the kids who weren't drafted.
Hmm.
So there's a first-time draft for the kids just out of high school. Then there's like another draft for the kids that have been in college for a couple years and didn't get drafted out of high school that have improved their game or caught people's attention. You know what I mean? So there's like a second draft. There's always undrafted free agents and walk-ons and all that kind of stuff going on too. So I just feel like part of it is because you've got so many of these minor league systems, AA, AAA, single A, that you dilute the talent pool for college baseball. So it's not as interesting for people to watch. And if you got rid of them, you would have a better product in college. You would have more people at least trying to go to college, get a degree, more fans going to baseball games, more money for those programs, a better success rate for guys who don't make it to the MLB of having a degree and being able to find a job. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a domino thing, but I definitely think if these guys stayed in college instead of floating around the minor leagues for 5 or 6 years, that you'd have a better college product and I'd watch it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because right now I know if I watch a college baseball game, it's a bunch of guys who weren't good enough to get drafted.
Yeah, you'd have a bunch of I forgot what I was going to say. But I think you have better college games as well too, and better equipped players. When they do come out too. So,
Yeah.
there's
And what about
there's a
the
lot of
international
things that
players?
baseball could change.
How do we get the international players involved? Do
Yeah.
you get them visas for student visas and they come here and go to college
Hmm.
and get them to learn some English and get an education and start playing ball? I mean, there's the largest international market from a sports standpoint is baseball. So I understand that provides completely different challenges that you don't see with football or basketball. With basketball, they come here and go to college. We've seen a lot of guys in the NBA from other countries who came here and went to college to play basketball and get noticed by scouts and get drafted and play basketball. But they also understood there were only so many positions available. In basketball, it's 30 teams and 5 people on a team and a few bench guys. I mean, it's different. Baseball has a huge number, especially in the Hispanic Latino community, a huge number of players from, and then you have your Asian countries. We had, what was his name that I could never get right, from Korea, who was concerned because in Korea you have to mandatory military service, and they postponed his for him to come here and play baseball. And when he quit playing baseball, he had to go home and go into the army.
Oh, I don't remember who that was.
Soo Chu. You know who I know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, from that played for the Guardians?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think it was Kim Soo-Choo.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was one of the things they were trying to get him a contract with somebody. They're like, listen, if he ain't under contract, you got to go home and go in the military.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of things to consider along those lines. But again, you got options. I'm just trying to figure out a way for baseball to stick around, to be here in 20 years.
I think it will be.
I think it will be, but I think it'll be very different from what we see today, just because I think the new stadiums are going to get smaller because they're not bringing in the people. And even the stadiums that are bringing them in now are going to have a hard time bringing them in for 81 home games. Season's too long. And you're asking people to shell out that money all season long. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Right. You and I will be talking about this on this show in 10 years. And we'll see what we'll bring it up.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU at 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
COVID is still in our community, and your health matters to Neighborhood Family Practice. They can help you prevent COVID or other health issues like diabetes, HIV, or high blood pressure. Their providers take the time to know you and understand your health needs and the health needs of your entire family. They accept Medicaid and have openings for new patients. Neighborhood Family Practice takes care of patients no matter their ability to pay. Call today at 216-281-0872. 216-281-0872, or log on to nfpmedcenter.org. Your health matters to Neighborhood Family Practice.
This message is brought to you by Neighborhood Family Practice at 95.9 FM WOVU. Our Voices United. Burtonville Carr Community Radio.
Do you rent your home? Do you have questions about your rights and responsibilities as a tenant? Call Legal Aid's Tenant Information Line at 216-861-5955, and a Legal Aid housing specialist will return your call within 2 business days between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. That's 216-861-5955.
This message is brought to you by the Legal Aid Society and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, a Burtonville Carr Community Radio station.
Need help preparing your federal taxes and claiming your earned income tax credit? Trustee is partnering with community organizations to host free federal tax preparation services for qualifying individuals and families living in Cuyahoga County. These free events will be at its Metropolitan campus on Saturday, February 25th from 10 to 2, Wednesday, March 8th from 9 to 1, and Thursday, March 9th from 2 to 6. For more information or to schedule an appointment, dial #211 or visit refundohio.org.
This message is brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burtonville Carr Community Radio station.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. Remember, you can always keep that dial on your regular radio dial at 95.9 FM. You can listen to us on the go at WOVU.org. You can also download that WOVU app so you can listen to us that way as well. And then if you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always call the station at 216-271-0959. And I am here with Cleveland Kate. And we were talking a little baseball about what Major League Baseball can do to attract more fans and viewers. And one of the things I believe is that, they're only marketing a certain demographics. And we've had this discussion before, they're marketing dead, white men who are close to dying. And one thing is baseball doesn't really market to the African-American community at all too. So that's why, most Black people are fans of basketball and football because, there's many opportunities that Major League Baseball can take, how they market, who they choose to market and things like that, but they're not doing it. So a lot of this stuff is Major League Baseball's fault. And, I think it's going to take eons to change it as well. But, you point the finger, at somebody, you got three pointing back at you. So baseball needs to do so much better than they are. So Kate, did you get a chance to watch these games over the weekend?
Which games? The Guardians games or the
Yes.
women's basketball games?
The Guardians games.
I got to watch a couple of them. Karinchak did not look good in that opening game with Seattle. I had some concerns. But Sandlin looked pretty good in the win on, what was it, Friday night? Like 9-4.
It's scary to see pitch.
I know. Savale looked very good, and that was a tight one. That was just like a 2-0 game. So Class A, hey ho ho hey, had to come in to get the save for that one. And then I was surprised on Sunday, as close as that was with De Los Santos pitching on Sunday, the 6-5 game. Stefan actually ended up coming in and getting the save for that one. So I thought the pitching was a little rocky to start. And but we've scored in every game since that first one. I like that because we had concerns about our offense last year. So we put up some points. So I'm happy about that. We may see a lot of those close games again this year like we did last year. So they're just kind of shaking off the rust. But they were predicted to just get their butts handed to them by the Mariners. And so I was super excited to take that series the way we did and to come home feeling good about ourselves. And we got a game tonight.
Yes, we do, against Oakland Athletics. Yeah, so we're on the West Coast again. But
and we're still out there. When are we home? When's the home opener?
It is going to be the 7th on Good Friday.
That's right. I remember because it's so for the people who celebrate Easter, which is this Sunday, Friday is Good Friday. There are some religions that fast completely on Fridays. All of the ones that have any kind of food restrictions do like a no meat, either a fish or a vegetarian completely. And in past years, the Catholic Church has been kind enough to give Catholics a dispensation so they could eat hot dogs on a Friday if it was the Guardians opening day, which it is this year, and they did not. So I am not going to the game Friday, but I'm reaching out to all my friends that I know that are going because I can't wait to see what options the vendors come up with at Progressive Field to offer well, you may argue that hot dogs are not meat. They are. So see if, anyone's selling like, I don't know, fish sticks or something at the ballpark Friday.
Fish sticks
for those people who abstain from meat on Fridays during Lent. It's the last one. So I should have remembered that it was Good Friday this week. You and I got to go to a game this year, girl. I don't think we did too many last year.
We
were still dealing with the COVID restrictions and everything. So Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. But yeah, last season we went 1 for 7 against Seattle. So this was huge to be able to get off to a good start. Unfortunately, they dropped the first game. Shane Bieber gave you 6 scoreless innings, and then James Karanchak came in and it kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he wasn't helped by that phantom, hit by pitch call where it went off his bat and was a foul ball and should have been treated as such, but that's not a reviewable play. So he wasn't able to review that. And that got somebody on the bases. And then, you have somebody hit a home run and, a 3-run shot. This is at the end of the game in the 8th inning as well. So, there's a couple different ways that could have been won, but, it wasn't. So unfortunately, they dropped the home opener. So I believe that this is 17 of the last 25 home openers that they've dropped. So openers, not home openers, but 17 to 25 for
Well,
openers.
the Browns still have a worse record for their home opener. We'll see.
Oh yeah. That's something too. Yeah. And so our home opener is against Seattle again. So I think that this is the only time, we play them maybe this season because of the new schedule.
Yep.
The game, and then after Seattle comes to town, we face the Yankees. So the only time that, the Yankees are going to be here in Cleveland, I'm already sure it's going to be a ton of Yankee fans. It's going to be a sellout. It always is, I'm like, ugh. With the Yankees, but they'll be in town. So, I think that this is, this beginning. If they can get off to a hot start, this could be a good measuring stick for the rest of the season because I had them with 100 games. I still have my Cavs at 50. They're 49. They're at 49. So they have 2 games against Orlando left, and then they have a game against Charlotte left. So I think they're going to get to the 50 that I predicted before the season. So I think if the Guardians can get off to a hot start, they're right there and continue to play very well, continue to get good pitching because I was a little bit, I feel like the starting rotation is a little, sketchy, but I forgot what his name was, but he came in and pitched game 2.
Yeah, you got Shane Bieber. You were supposed to have Tristan McKenzie in second, but he's out with an injury. So I can't think of who. Sandlin, I think, replaced him. Then you've got Cal Quantrill going third. You've got Aaron Savale, who's ended up, doing okay. Zach Plesac, who I had my issues with last year. So you've got Sandlin filling in right now for McKenzie. I was actually really happy with that rotation before the season started. Now with McKenzie out, I'm a little nervous. He's got a shoulder strain, which is apparently a bad thing. If you're a pitcher, it's bad to have your shoulder be, So we'll see how long he's out. I haven't seen any kind of prediction on how long he'll be out. But Plesac is supposed to start tonight. So then that would be, we're back to Bieber for tomorrow. 3, 4. So I think that puts, if McKenzie's healthy, then maybe he starts Friday. That would be nice to see him.
No, he ain't gonna be here for a while because they were talking about 2 weeks to possibly 8 weeks. So he's not going to be here for a while. So that's a huge blow. He struggled a little bit during spring training and stuff like that. But I believe, for games, he's going to turn it around. Absolutely. So, he was only 6 pitches in when he got the shoulder injury. So that didn't help. But, he's a strong piece to your starting rotation. So hopefully you can overcome his absence by getting some different pitchers in. I can't remember. I think Nick Sandlin was one of the relievers in game 2. I think somebody started who had never started before, and I forgot.
Let me check. Hunter Gaddis.
Yeah. Yep. Hunter Gaddis. So
so he's on deck for. So we got he's on deck for this week. Wednesday, and then Thursday they have a travel day off before we get to Friday. Friday's listed as TBD. So I don't know if they'll just keep moving through, if they'll reset, if they're waiting to see if McKenzie can get back in. You're right. Sandlin came in relief and then got the win because it was 0-0 when he came in and then 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to be keeping a much better eye. We have to get your friend Natalie on this year. A much closer eye on our rotation, and knock on wood, hope we can stay healthy. We need to get Mackenzie fixed and back and healthy, and then just keep that pitching healthy for the whole year.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
It seems like all the important things we need are more expensive today. Food, gas, utilities, internet, all around us. Prices just keep climbing. But now, getting connected to the internet doesn't have to be frustrating or expensive. When you call the digital navigators at 216-307-6990, they'll connect you to the plans and devices that fit your budget, as well as free training and support. Call Digital Navigators today at 216-307-6990. Thank you for listening to WOU 95.9 FM, Burtonville Car Community Radio.
Ohio is our home, and it's full of family we're proud to care for. With more than 200 locations, Cleveland Clinic is growing to bring world-class care to your community. From Canton to Avon, and coming soon to Mentor. Whether it's sniffles and sneezes, or something more serious, big or small, we're always near you. For every care in the world. Schedule your care today at clevelandclinic.org/access.
This message was brought to you by WOVU 95.9 FM, Burton-Bell Car Community Radio.
Yo, listen up. So many of our daily activities are now made easier by using a computer and internet. Want to schedule a doctor's appointment, take a class, check the final score for your favorite team. Life is easier when you do it all from your home on your computer. To find out how you can get a home internet that fits your budget, contact Digital Navigator today at 216-307-6990. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. So one of the things is, right now we're on the subject of the Cleveland Guardians. So after losing that opening game, they came back and rebounded and won game 2. So Stephen Kwan went off. So he had an issue with his glove, so wardrobe malfunction. But he said he might go back to his old glove, so he's not sure. He's using a new glove, trying to break it in and stuff like that. But he kind of went a little crazy and started the scoring for the Guards. So they was able to rebound, and after losing that opener 9-4, he delivered the third run by sacrifice fly. Then he drove in 2 more runs and then a 2-run single. So he was going off. Game 3, the Guards won 2-0 over Seattle by the homers, Josh Naylor, and Andres Jimenez. And then Aaron Savali had a quality start, and James Karinchak played much better as a reliever that day. And then game 4, they beat Seattle in extra innings. Mike Zunino had a big game against his old team. We have a catcher who can finally hit, so no offense to Austin Hedges, but, that's important, especially at that bottom of the lineup, because I believe Austin Hedges was hit in that 7th spot, and you were just getting no offensive production. So Mike Zunino drove in.
Yeah, but he's cute.
Who?
Austin Hedges.
I need you to hit the ball. So Mike Zunino drove in 3 runs with 2 doubles and a homer. So he kind of went off for that. Guess we can get a little bit into NCAA, and we'll just do Cavs tomorrow.
What?
Huh?
Can I give a shout out to our first baseman, Josh Bell?
Yeah, go ahead.
Girl, he has walked 6 times already.
Oh, really?
6 times.
Wow.
His batting average is under 100, and I was looking at it, trying to figure out what the problem was. I'm like, that's why, because y'all keep walking. His batting average is crap, but his on-base percentage is almost 400. Dude can walk all day, dude.
Yeah.
Walk all day. Walk yourself to first base. I'm going to make a bold prediction now. Josh Bell's going to lead this team in base on balls by the end of the season.
Oh, okay. I'm like
He's
Brandon
off to a good
Geyer
start.
led with
I
getting hit with the
love
ball.
someone who can work a pitch count, who has the patience at the plate to make them throw you quality pitches, to tire him out so that maybe the pitcher's going to throw off something to the guy behind you and you're going to come in and score because you get on base and people are getting RBIs for you. You know what I'm saying? I love someone who knows how to walk. So I am all on team Josh Bell at first base. And
Yeah.
even Miles Straw, who makes you crazy at center field, is actually hitting pretty well this year. He's a little over 200, which is not bad at this point in the season.
Yeah, he can drive in singles and doubles, but he just doesn't hit for power at all. And I don't know if it's a weight issue because he's kind of tiny.
Tito don't need a bunch of players that hit for power. He's all about small ball. He's all about taking a walk, knowing when to get a sacrifice bunt out there, moving people one base at a time. Just get on base. Because if Quan or Jimenez or Naylor, somebody goes off and knocks one out the park, it's a lot better if the guys in front of them figured out how to get on base. Just get you on base. Don't be an easy out. Don't be an easy out. I got other power hitters. I need Straw to not be an easy out. Straw, get yourself on base, and we'll be good.
If you was a major league player, would you not be embarrassed that you the only one on a team that doesn't have a home run?
No, because he's still getting RBIs and he's still scoring. Somebody got to be on base for you to get an RBI. Who the I? If everybody's hitting home runs, you ain't getting no. Well, I guess you get one RBI for your home run. Girl, walk, run, bunt, whatever you need to do to get on base. Do not be an out. We only get 27 outs in a game. Don't be one of them.
George also said, too, at first minor league baseball players have a CBA. It came down the pipes and was ratified. The key to this whole, gosh, my Grammarly is getting on my nerves. Key to this whole was more money. So I guess the minor league players are getting paid a little bit money. I am excited that they're taking on the Oakland Athletics. This is Willie's team as well. They had a record last year against the Oakland Athletics. I can't remember because I think that they had lost, more. I can't remember what that record was against the Oakland Athletics, but I know we had some pretty huge comebacks against them, which is important and stuff like that. But, I'm excited for this series as well. I've never been an Oakland Athletics fan. So I think that not the Tribe, but I think that the Guardians, can roll this, 3-game winning streak into Oakland and get some quality production and get some home runs out of this team. So Oakland is one of the worst teams in the league. Who knows? Every season is a chance for teams to turn it around, but Oakland is one of the worst teams in the league. So they should be able to take 2 out of 3 games. It's only a 3-game series. So they should be able to take at least 2.
Well, yeah, and that's why I was excited to talk to Willie today. And of course, he gives us some sob story about how he got traffic and he gonna be late. That's because he knows we're gonna talk trash about his Oakland Athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And he just didn't want to be here to face the music. I see you, Willie.
He was on the run, so I'm gonna see if he's gonna come on tomorrow, and then we can talk trash about how the Guardians beat the Oakland A's last night. Because that's what's gonna happen.
Yes.
So, a little basketball.
We don't play tonight, right? We're off today.
Yeah, we are off today, and then I think we take on the Orlando Magic tomorrow at 7. I think, yeah. Come from behind win yesterday against the Indiana Pacers, who was taking it to them. They locked down on defense because the loss to the Indiana Pacers would not have been good. But the Pacers, their playoff hopes are on the line as well. So it was really important to them that they should win that game. Donovan went off, again for the 3rd time, and getting 40 points in a row. And he has let me see. He's at 3 games in a row with over 40 points. He's the first in Cavs history to have 3 straight 40 point games. And he said he's in playoff mode. And he also set the single season mark for made threes, surpassing J.R. Smith, Mark Price, sharpshooter and stuff like that. So, one of the questions I have for you is he this team's LeBron? And I think he is.
Oh, I think he is. I think he makes everyone around him better. You know what I mean? Look at how Darius Garland, he had 20 points last night. Look at LeVert. Look at Okoro. Look at how all Jared Allen. Look at how all these other players have taken their game up a notch. And that was one of the things that LeBron did, is he brought everybody else up with him. And I think he absolutely does that. What's tough for me with this game, these last couple games in the schedules, I really want them to get to the 50 win mark, just like you do. But the last few games have been tough because you had Jared Allen out, you got Okoro out, you got guys out with injuries, and then you've got JB who's got to kind of play the game of, all right, who do I need to rest? I've already locked in the playoffs. I've locked in my seating. I've locked in home court, right, for that first round. There's nothing to be gained by playing anyone who's a little sore, a little banged up, a little hurt. So he's going to be trying to make sure people's healthy. He's going to be obviously not limiting Donovan's minutes. I think Mitchell is one of those guys who, as he said, he was in playoff mode, right? Mm-hmm. He needs to play. He needs to play he needs to stay in game shape. He don't need to take a break. He needs to keep that intensity up and keep going. But there are other guys that are a little banged up that could use a little bit of rest, either in minutes or just not even playing the game. So that's the only thing that I struggle with on if you're going to get your 50th win is it just depends on who JB puts in, because I say this all the time. We talk about this when we talk about football, that week 17, when a team is locked into the playoffs and home field and they got to bye and they don't play nobody important that last week and your fantasy football Super Bowl is on the line. Like, we're at that point in the NBA season. A lot of teams that are locked in are going to be resting a couple key guys. And so who knows what kind of basketball we're going to get for these last couple games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isaac Okoro is out, and I think, like I said, I dare to say that this team might be missing him a little bit.
They are missing him.
So,
I love me some Isaac Okoro.
Oh God, I don't know why.
I know, but I know. But when I look at my alternatives and I look at what he has done this year, and I look at his relationship with his other players, and I look at how they throw to him in key situations when he is open, because they know where he's going to be and they trust him. There's that X factor, that emotional thing that you can't calculate. They love him. They just love him. And so if they need him to be in, then he needs to play. He needs to get healthy. He needs to get play. And Evan Mobley is just at another level. Again, he scares me with how good he is. The blocks, the everything that he's doing, the takeaways. I am super excited for this team, and not just for this season, but for the next 5. Because I think you're right that Donovan Mitchell is sort of our LeBron, and as long as we can keep him happy and keep him here and keep us winning, he will keep everyone around him playing at a high level.
Yeah, Evan Mobley is a block machine, so he's had his 5th straight game with 3 or more blocks.
Yep.
So setting a Cavs record.
In the first game of that run, he had 3 blocks on one play.
Oh God, yeah.
He kept blocking and they took it, blocked it and they took it, blocked it. I'm like, dude, you go.
Mm-hmm,
I'm gonna have to look on DraftKings, see if that's one of those prop bets you can make on the. I'm so tired of those commercials, Rachel. We could do a whole show on how tired I am of the betting commercials.
I've never used any of them.
I haven't either. My daughter has the app and she keeps asking me to tell her things to make bets. And I'm like, no, because you're betting real money. And if I'm wrong and you lose money, then I'm going to feel bad. So,
yeah. Chris just told me no Cavs slander when I was talking about Isaac Okoro. I don't know if they're going to kick out to him in the playoffs, though.
He'll be fine.
Cavs slander.
He'll be fine.
All right.
It's about that time, girl.
Yeah, that's our time.
We talked a lot of baseball today. Yay for us, because it is baseball season. We get basketball playoffs and we got baseball. We'll get to football when it's when it's time.
When it's time. All right, girlie, I love you. Thank you so much. And
Love
you've
you
been
too.
listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.